welcome to the first session. It is a little bit hot, so please feel free to wave some fans at you. I'm Eleanor Thornton-Firkin, and I head up Creative Excellence at Ipsos in the UK. And I'm going to be talking about over 50, advertising's left the chat. In reality, we all know that advertising has left the chat, I don't know, when you're about 35, maybe 44 to push, but definitely by the time you are 50, advertising has forgotten you. Now, I have some skin in this game because I am over 50. I am proud of that. Why wouldn't I be? But there are two things that I want to change. The first is that we stop erasing people over 50 from marketing and from advertising. And the second is really around thinking about over 50s, not just as one big amorphous mass, but actually as individuals, as people who have interests. Because I don't know about you, but I am not my parents. I love my parents dearly, but you know, I have slightly different needs and interests than them, and yet we're all in this big over 50s group. So, quick show of hands, who else is over 50? Okay, quite a few of you, so I will be preaching to the converted a little bit, but the rest of you, you're all going to be 50 one day, so let's make the future brighter for us all. I'm going to talk about three things. So, first of all, over 50s within the advertising industry, within the marketing world, why we shouldn't erase over 50s from sight, and why actually these are a group of people that you ought to target. And then finally, how we actually go about talking to the over 50s, thinking about how we can really get great communications out there, and indeed where you find them. So, first of all, over 50s, what's it all about in the industry? Well, the first thing is, should go over here. 6% of people in the ad industry are over 50. So the people creating your campaigns really have forgotten you already if you're over 50. And that compares with 50% of Europeans who are, if they're of working age, 14, slightly tenuous, I agree, then actually 50% of people are over 50. 6%, 50%. That really is the start of the problem. And it's not just in advertising, because when we look at the number of interviews that we at Ipsos do as a market research company with the over 50s, it's only 28%. So when you think about innovations, when you really want to understand what over 50s are doing, we're not asking them. So therefore, how can we market to them? And you know what? People notice. If you ignore them, they notice that. So 43% of people in the EU say advertisers value people aged under 50 more than over 50. Why would I buy from you if you don't care about me? And you know what? 50 is young. Would you kick any of these people out of bed? No. 50 is really not old anymore. And actually, when does old age begin? I've just put it at, I didn't round it up because I thought we'd keep it within the 60s. But 69.5, when you ask people, when are you going to be old? 69.5. And as you get older, that number gets further away. Just because in numbers you're old doesn't mean that you feel old. And actually, currently, over 65s, these numbers jump around about, by the way, because there is no one definition of this group. But over 65s do not appear in a primary role in advertising in the same way that they are represented. They're not the worst represented, but it's not very good, is it? So we really need to think about how can we put people into good roles. Mostly, advertising is crap for over 50s, but I wanted to show you a good piece so we can have a little bit of inspiration. It's a multi-generational story, it's funny, and it's very well observed.
Cool. got sunglasses.
So whether you're the grandparent in that scenario, the kids hoping that the grandparent's going to pay for everything, or the small children within it, it feels like a relatable, familiar story, done in a funny way, very well observed, and respectful of all audiences within that ad. But in general, we are eradicating the over 50s from advertising, and we shouldn't do that. And why not? Because 5.7 trillion euros is what the silver economy is projected just for 2025 across Europe. Think you'll agree that's a market that you might want to go for. They've got the money. But the way that we think about them means that we've eradicated them, and I'm going to say that word, eradicated, a lot from sight. When we think about what people think about older people, yeah, totally. They're wise, they're respected, they're kind. But they're also frail, lonely, unfairly treated. And ultimately, what this says in culture, in advertising, in marketing, is that we're all this doddery but dear stereotype. And that's really difficult to dispel, because if you're a doddery old dear, you don't have agency, you don't have choice, you're not out there thinking for yourself and buying stuff. So that's not a good look. And actually, it's worse than that, because all of the ways that we're communicating to people mean that only 30% of Europeans are looking forward to later life, which in and of itself is sad. But when you look at this, those who are negative about later life die 7.5 years before those who are positive. It also means that advertising is killing the golden goose. I mean, probably a little bit over the top. But, you know, this is a provocation, and we do need to get people to start thinking about it. We want positive portrayals. We want to live and enjoy our over 50s life. But there is some evidence that says, okay, this group aren't really so into buying stuff, and maybe I shouldn't bother. Because if we look at older versus younger consumers, see a 30 percentage point difference in older adults who are more likely to say they usually only buy the stuff they need, don't need any more in their life, just need to keep the possessions simple, don't need all this clutter. And ultimately are likely to say that they don't find pleasure in buying things. But this is all relative to younger consumers. When we actually look at the actual number, actually 38% of older people do say, buying things gives me a whole lot of pleasure. 38% of a very large population is a very big market to go for. And these guys are spending at least in line with their presence in the market. So they may not want to spend as much money, but by heck they do, and we should try and tap into that. And maybe it's not just stuff. Maybe it's experiences. Maybe we can give them something that they're really, really going to value in life. So here's an ad that illustrates that.
You ready, B? All I need in this life is sin. It's me and my girlfriend. Me and my girlfriend.
Down the ride to the very end. It's me and my boyfriend. Me and my boyfriend.
And I don't have to worry, only worry is him. She do anything necessary for him. And I do anything necessary for her. So don't let the necessary occur. Yep. All I need in this life is sin. It's me and my girlfriend.
I'm very much hoping that that is my retirement. I think that I could hang out in Airbnbs all the time and just really have some lovely holidays. Okay, so we know that we sort of erase people. We know that we shouldn't because they've got shed loads of money and we want to tap into it. How do we do that? Well, the first thing that we know is when we look at our database of pre-testing, what actually really drives short-term sales, that's high creativity combined with high levels of empathy. And what does empathy mean? It means that you're both relevant to the audience and fitting well with your brand. So this isn't about doing something weird and out of kilter with the rest of your brand communications. It's just doing something that's a little bit more tapped into the audience. And if we want to really understand, all those over 50s being the same, actually no, we need to think about them in different ways. And even if we do a very simple segmentation, which this is from the US, UK, and Japan, we see that we have different groups. So we do have some people who are really just, they want a simple life, they want nice things that just function well. These guys are financially stable. They have things that they like. But you have this whole group of strivers. Strivers want bling. Brands still say something about them. They want people to see them. Not so different from your 18 to 30-year-olds. Also have strugglers. These are essentially strivers who don't have any money. They would like to have bling. They can't always have bling. They maybe didn't get the financial planning quite right. But when they can, they will buy something really nice for themselves. And then you've got the chill indulgence guys who are sort of, they are financially stable too. They know what they want. They're more experiential. They want to do cool stuff. But already you can see that we're not just one amorphous mass, and actually pretty similar to everybody else. So also want to try and get it into people's heads that actually it's not a weird set of people who you don't understand. They're very similar to you, and you will be them in a few years' time. So how we gain their attention and the relative weight of empathy versus great creative is a little bit different. So if you're in linear video, and yes, these guys are still watching telly, then actually having something that is really creatively cool, exciting, surprising, unique is the way to go. If you're in social and digital, then you need to change that a little bit. So if you're in feed, it's more about empathy and fitting in. That's where people are there to discover and connect. If you're in short form video, then actually you need that balance between surprising creativity and empathy and fitting in. And this is true for everybody. But you might be saying, Eleanor, why are you telling me about this social and digital stuff? Old people don't go on social. What are you talking about? Well, actually, old people in general, I've started seeing it now, bloody hell, older people in general are really into tech, I love this picture. I mean, who hasn't seen their parents or themselves glued to their phone? Everybody does it, not just the young. So 69% say they can't imagine life without the internet, connected. And actually, when we think about fears about AI, about tech, older people much less likely to think that tech is going to destroy their lives versus younger age groups. So they're not scared of tech, they think it's going to be an enabler for them. And actually, they're using tech and going online a lot more, and they're really catching up with younger cohorts. So this is from our ARIS data. It's all about behavioral data online. 45 to 54-year-olds, they're really increasing their time in mobile games, and we'll have a look at that in a second. But this is a really great way to target them. And they're very eager consumers of news. Get a little bit older, and you start to come into things like health online, but also watching video sharing platforms. So again, they're in the places where we know, where we target 18 to 34s, they're there as well. And they are as engaged with brands online as everybody else. So don't think that they aren't seeking you out, they are. And then some of my very favorite stats. In gaming, who do 45 to 64-year-olds look like most? 15 to 24-year-olds. 15 to 24-year-olds. They are the most similar, and that is true overall, and it is true across different forms of gaming. The only place where it doesn't hold true is in console gaming, where actually it is the 15 to 24-year-olds who are Fortnite crazy who are playing that. But these are surprising ways that you may not have thought, this is where I'm going to target my older age groups. And then the final bit is around influencers. Obviously, everybody's talking about influencer strategy. Very few people are talking about over 50 influencer strategy. And yet, if you have a look on any of these platforms, over 50s are now starting to do it for themselves. So if you believe in that one-to-one, peer-to-peer kind of marketing strategy, it works for over 50s as well. So, a final ad to wrap it up before I give you my final, come on, advertise the over 50s.
I was wondering, what does old mean? Well, it depends on how we choose to see things. Take the 76 Bordeaux. Old? No. Revered. Priceless. Or this. A worn-out old jacket? Obviously not. It's vintage. And driving a classic car just has a nicer ring to it. So please, don't call me old-fashioned. Just pour me one.
Also, if you are an alcohol brand, they're the last people drinking. So, you know, do you advertise tea? The over 50s. So how do we transform it? We need to increase the visibility of this audience overall, with advertisers, with clients, with everybody. Got to stop treating the over 50s as just one big amorphous blob. They are different. They are 2, 3 generations of people, and they need different things. And within each of those cohorts, they want different things depending on who they are. Empathy. Empathy, understanding the audience and who you're talking to. That's how you're going to grow your business. So please do spend some time with the over 50s. And more importantly, talk to them where they are. They're not that different to everybody else. Your media agency knows how to target people in these ways. So please, do make sure that you target over 50s. They've got the money, and they're your golden goose of the future. Thank you very much.